This deaf woman's interpreter had been arrested, and what Judge Caprio did next stunned everyone in the courtroom. When the woman signed, "Where's my interpreter?" the room went quiet. That's when Judge Caprio learned that the interpreter had been taken into custody the night before for insisting the woman's rights under the law be respected. Mara Vega stood at the defense table, her eyes searching, her face clouded with confusion. She signed again, more urgently, but no one understood her. Judge Caprio looked up from the bench, noticing her gestures. Even without knowing sign language, he sensed something was wrong. He asked the clerk, "Miss Reyes, where is the interpreter?" Miss Reyes checked her notes and hesitated. "Your Honor, she is listed as unavailable. The note says she is in custody." Caprio's pen stopped midair. "In custody?" he repeated, his voice steady but firm. "The interpreter who should be here to ensure this woman understands the proceedings is in jail." Miss Reyes confirmed. Caprio removed his glasses, placing them carefully on the bench. "Why was she arrested?" he asked. Miss Reyes read from her screen. "Obstruction of a police officer." The courtroom went silent. Caprio leaned forward, his tone calm but firm. "So, the person ensuring this defendant could communicate was arrested for doing just that? That is not right." Marisol's hands moved again, asking questions no one could answer. Her frustration was clear, and the courtroom felt the weight of the injustice unfolding before them. Caprio's focus was unwavering. He intended to correct this wrong immediately. The interpreter had been ordered to step back during the traffic stop, leaving Marisol completely isolated. Caprio surveyed the scene, the defendant, the officers, the gallery, and then addressed the courtroom. Miss Reyes announced formally, though with visible discomfort, "Case 2025 CR 4417, State versus Marisol Vega. Charges: failure to comply, resisting arrest, reckless driving, and failure to appear." Caprio raised his hand, signaling her to pause. He looked directly at Marisol, speaking slowly and clearly, even knowing she could not hear. "Miss Vega, can you understand me?" She shook her head and signed again, her gestures deliberate and careful. Caprio turned to the clerk. "Does anyone here know sign language?" Silence. He then asked the prosecutor, "Do you have an interpreter available?" The prosecutor hesitated. "Not immediately, Your Honor." Caprio's expression remained calm, but his voice sharpened. "We cannot proceed until communication is equal. This is not optional." He directed Miss Reyes, "Pull the file on the interpreter's arrest. I want to know why Naomi Clark is in custody and why she isn't here." Miss Reyes typed quickly. Moments later, she read aloud. Naomi Clark had been detained around 8:47 p.m. the previous evening after a traffic stop involving the defendant. Officer Daniel Kim reported that the interpreter refused multiple commands to step back from the scene, insisting Marisol needed her assistance. The interpreter had been charged with obstruction. Caprio's jaw tightened as he read the details. She was doing her job, interpreting for a deaf woman, yet she had been arrested for it. The jail log confirmed she had been held overnight for persistent demands. Caprio reviewed the case carefully. "Let me understand this," he said. "Marisol Vega was pulled over. She is deaf. She requested an interpreter. The interpreter arrived and tried to help, and the officer arrested her for performing her role." The prosecutor attempted to explain, but Caprio stopped him. "I don't care what the report says. The law requires meaningful access to communication for anyone who is deaf. That is not optional. It's a legal right." He then instructed Officer D'Angelo, "Bring Officer Kim into the courtroom immediately." Marisol's hands moved again, asking questions no one could answer. Caprio softened his tone, even knowing she couldn't hear him. "Miss Vega, I will make sure you understand everything that happens here. That is a promise." He directed the clerk to contact the jail. "Release Naomi Clark immediately. Review her obstruction charge within the hour, and provide a full report on why a certified interpreter was arrested while doing her job." The official custody logs recorded Naomi's words from the cell. She repeatedly told the officers that Marisol needed sign language access and could not understand verbal commands. Marisol had even reached for a laminated card reading, "I am deaf," in both English and Spanish, Naomi urged the officers to wait and allow her to interpret. She reminded them to follow the law, but the officers insisted she was interfering. One said her signing was complicating the situation. Another claimed she was causing a disturbance. A third warned her she would be arrested if she didn't step back. Naomi continued interpreting, insisting Marisol had rights. Eventually, she was arrested. Marisol spent the night in the holding cell, unable to communicate with anyone. She signed to the walls, to the officers, and to other detainees. No one understood. She cried and signed repeatedly. The jail log listed the reason: persistent demands. The next morning, Officer Daniel Kim entered the courtroom, carrying a notebook. Caprio calmly asked him to recount what happened on the night of November 3rd. Kim described stopping a vehicle for speeding at 8:21 p.m. and approaching the driver, who did not respond to requests for license and registration. Kim continued. He repeated the request, but the driver still didn't respond. When he raised his voice, the driver reached for the glove compartment. He ordered her to stop and show her hands, but she did not comply. He opened the door to secure her, and she pulled away. Backup was called. Caprio leaned in. "Did the driver say anything to you?" Kim replied, "No, Your Honor." She was silent. "Did she make any gestures?" Caprio asked. Kim hesitated, then admitted she was moving her hands. Caprio asked, "Did it occur to you she might be using sign language?" Kim flushed and admitted, "Not at the time."